It's time for tonight's Common Ground segment. Joining me tonight are Louisiana Republican Senator John Kennedy and Maryland Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen. Senators, thanks so much. I want to talk about what you're working on, Common Ground together, and the bill that you're working on dealing with foreign investment and accountability. But I want to start with the breaking news we had at the top of the show, and that is the House passing their debt ceiling increase bill that ties to some different cuts. The Speaker of the House saying the onus is now on the President and really the Senate to figure this out. Senator Van Hollen, first to you, your reaction to that and where this all stands.
Well, Brett, it's good to be with you. This bill is calculated to lead to a default. The United States defaulting on its debts for the first time in its history. And the reason I say that is what Speaker McCarthy and House Republicans have done is said they're going to let the country default unless the rest of the country agrees to demands that are unacceptable for the overwhelming majority of the American people. Very deep cuts to veterans and veterans health care. Very deep cuts to federal law enforcement, including border security. Putting China in the driver's seat when it comes to clean energy deployment. So this is a recipe for default. We've always said that we're more than willing to talk to our House Republican colleagues about budget issues as part of the normal budget process, but that it's unacceptable to threaten that the United States default on its debts. And that's what this is by Senator another name.
Senator Kennedy, I know we started this with Common Ground. I doubt there's tremendous common ground on those statements, but I'll give you the floor. Speaker McCarthy said at the beginning of the show this was the start of this negotiation that he believed should have been happening from the beginning.
Well, what the House did today was as the president requested, raise the debt ceiling with conditions. And those conditions will slow the rate of growth of spending and debt accumulation. Now, the House bill probably won't pass the Senate, but I hope that the president will now agree. He said, let's see the Republican plan. The House just passed the Republican plan. I hope the president will sit down with the Speaker and they'll have adult discussions about how to allocate scarce resources.
All right, so let's talk about what you are working on together, and that is this Holding Foreign Insiders Accountable Act. And some of the bullet points here applies U.S. disclosure requirements to executives of foreign firms traded on U.S. stock exchanges and requires electronic reporting of stock trades within 2 business days of U.S. regulators. Senator Van Hollen, is this a big issue?
It is a big issue, and it's great to team up with John Kennedy on this issue. We want everybody who is listing their stocks on public markets here in the United States to play by the same rules. Right now, American executives of American companies have to disclose their stock trades within a certain period of time, 2 days, electronically, in order to protect other investors so that we know if they're engaged in nefarious insider trading practices. Those rules don't apply to others, and especially companies in China and Russia have taken advantage of the fact that their executives don't have to comply with this rule that applies to American executives. So we want to even the playing field and protect investors.
Senator Kennedy, you all wrote a joint op-ed in the Wall Street Journal where you point to this. On average, Chinese and Russian firms sold stock just before the stock price declined by more than 20%, saddling investors, including Americans, with the losses. You put the number at about $10 billion over a 5-year period. That's not chump change.
No. It's been my experience that nothing makes it easier to resist temptation than a proper upbringing, a strong set of values, and witnesses. And all this bill does is provide witnesses. It says if you're a CEO of a foreign company and you want to sell your stock, you can, but you've got to notify the SEC immediately so the SEC can tell the rest of the world, just like an American company. Our American CEO right now, a foreign CEO doesn't have to disclose an insider trade. A good example is Alibaba. Alibaba, in 2020 was taking a subsidiary public. The Chinese Communist Party said, no, we're canceling the IPO. An Alibaba insider sold $150 million worth of Alibaba stock the day before the announcement and avoided an 8% loss. That would be illegal under the law as Chris and I are proposing it.
So this seems like it has some bipartisan support up there. The other issue, though, when you're talking about trades and insider trades, brings up Congress. And there is an effort in the House. There is an effort in the Senate, the Ethics Act, I think it's by Senator Merkley, to try to prohibit some of that from happening. Is that a concern and something that both sides can get together on?
Well, I hope so, Brett. I'm familiar with Senator Merkley's bill. I'm co-sponsoring that bill. Whether it's that bill or another bill, I think it's important that we make it very clear to the American public that members of Congress are here to serve the public and not engaged in any way in trading stocks based on inside information in the Congress. Right now, I should say, we have a disclosure requirement. Members are required to disclose any stock sales, but I do think this is another important step.
All right, Senator Kennedy, last word.
As a senator, I can trade stocks. I don't, but I can. I can trade exchange-traded funds and mutual funds, but I have to disclose it. Now, I don't trade stocks. I don't really trade anything. I don't think I've made a trade since I've been in Congress. But
baseball cards, maybe?
If I do, I have to disclose it.
Senators, we appreciate the time. Please pass the word on Common Ground to your colleagues.
We'll do it, Brad.
Will do. Thanks.